We finally have some sunshine. That's good because, you know, getting a little white and pasty all winter. It happens around here. Anyway, no video yesterday because it was Sarah's birthday, and of course we took the day to celebrate her and spend time. And so kind of a slow start to the week, but that's okay. Plenty of work to do. I'm going to start heat treating. In fact, I'm going to turn the kiln on right now and get that heating up for normalizing a batch of blades. Like I mentioned, I prefer to heat treat, you know, about 4 at a time. That seems to work pretty good. Whoops, what am I doing? Can't talk and do this at the same time. All right, let me okay, yeah. Let me let me do this and then I'll come back. Hold on. Okay, I've got the kiln set up. It's going to heat up to 1600 degrees. What I'm going to do first is normalizing, and normalizing is where you dissolve the carbides and the steel at the appropriate temperature, and basically allow the steel to redisperse everything evenly, and that's the reason for the name is normalizing. So then once it cools down at a fairly slow rate in the air, or I guess technically it's not super slow, but anyway, that's what allows the steel to normalize. And then after that, we'll use some lower, slightly lower temperature thermocycles to refine the grain structure a little bit more. Do that several times. So these are the stock removal knives that I was working on last week, and so they have not been forged, and they are in the spheroidized or soft state. Spheroidized means that the carbon is basically clustered up or balled up into large carbides within the structure, the ferritic structure of the steel, but it's not interspersed in a manner that makes the steel stronger and harder. And so even though all that carbon's still in there, it's not in a state where it makes the steel hard. And so that's really good for drilling holes, machining, and that kind of stuff. But you have to make sure that you are pulling that carbon back out of those carbides back into the steel during heat treating, so that it does what it's supposed to do and you have a properly hardenable and wear resistant blade. And so that's why it's important to normalize even when you're not forging blades. So I'll get that going. I'll start with a few of these smaller ones probably, but I have something else I want to show you guys, and that is package from Bell Forest Products, and we'll dig into that real quick here. So as you guys are probably aware, there's any number of different sources for handle material and companies that sell it, whether it's synthetic or natural material. But recently, in the last year I guess, I found a company called Bell Forest Products, and they've been around for quite a while. They sell a wide selection of different natural wood products for either like wood turning or even fine cabinetry, but also knife blanks. And so, yeah, so this is kind of like Christmas, so I'm going to share it with you guys. Because I kind of stocked up on a few different pieces. I'm excited about making some. Well, I'm always excited about making knives. What am I saying? But some of what I have in mind is like some more nice puko style, like smaller ones even. Just I'm excited about that. So some of these cool different pieces in here are going to be really well suited to that. And so that's why I got a bunch of these different ones. So I'll share that with you guys here. Okay, so first what I have here is a couple pieces of, is it wenge or wangi? It's probably wenge. They're a little thinner. They're right at 1/4 inch, but they will make a nice, for like a smaller EDC type blade, or in conjunction with other pieces. But a couple of neat, they're kind of an exotic wood, nice, durable. So I got a couple of those. This is a curly, I'll bring you in a little closer here. This is a curly maple, the red leaf variety, and it's got some figuring in there and stuff. And what I like to do is I'll go ahead and dye it with like a walnut shade. oil, like Danish oil, Watco, whatever, and that brings out the figurine a lot nicer. And then here's another one, same deal. It's got a little better figurine on that one. This is a block of Bacote wood. Oh, that's nice. Check that out. It's got some nice. Bacote has never let me down. It's always proven to be a really nice, a beautiful piece of wood. This one actually I'm going to probably slice down into. I'm going to slice it down into scales because actually one of our kitchen knives we were working on last week. It's a Bacote handle. Bird's eye maple. This is cool. So again, a lot of times you can leave these blonde or light colored, or you can dye them and kind of bring out some more figurines. So I don't know what I'll do with that, but this will make a nice set of scales for a cool knife. Another piece of Bacote. Okay, I got two. I forgot. So one of these will get sliced into scales. The other one I'll probably try to make a hidden tang blade out of. But those are just really nice, and they're real durable. One of the harder woods. It's got a little more natural oil content in it than some do. Here's another chunk of red leaf maple, and this is not curly maple, it's just maple. This will be good for different hidden tang blades. And I got a piece of bloodwood, so it's red like you would expect. That'll make a nice handle. And then I have some it's called hard curly maple, so this is for a bunch of scales, so this will make a bunch of nice scales for a variety of different knives. I actually have one knife on order right now that I got to put some curly maple scales on, so that'll be good for that. But that's just a little selection of some different woods, handle wood, and that'll be exciting to go forward. Little note about using natural wood for handles. I actually keep all my wood handle material, natural wood, inside in the house because where we live currently, the humidity can easily be 80 or 90% during the winter, especially. Not so much in the summer, but usually drops down to 50 or 60. But I've had it multiple times happen where you put some handle scales on or whatever, and then you take it into a drier environment and they shrink. And that's natural for that to do, even if you have oil on the handle. The way that I know that, though, is that we keep our house at 45% humidity. I've made knives and I brought them in the house and sit them on, they sit there for a week and then the handles shrink. So you don't want that, obviously. So I keep all my handle wood in there so I know that it's nice and dried out and ready to put on, and then it'll soak up the whatever kind of oil, linseed or Danish oil or whatever, and that's good. But and that'll happen with antler as well, natural antler. Don't have to worry about that with stabilized wood so much, obviously, or even so much the things like micarta or G10. Micarta will actually shrink a little bit too. So you guys have probably noticed that I'm always working on knife orders, and then I'm also working on other knife projects that are not orders that'll be available to buy. And there's a couple reasons I do it this way. One is I don't currently have enough orders to just do orders, but also being able to continue to work on sort of my creative bent or try new things that are going to allow me to build a better knife or a more interesting knife down the road as I continue to hone my skills. That's really important in this craft. And if I were to just do like a lot of the same different knife models or something like that I sell and never try anything new, man, that would be really tough to do. So I really appreciate being able to continue to feed that creative bent, but it also serves to provide new, neat knives that people appreciate and want to buy. I think while I'm waiting for the kiln to heat up, I was kind of thinking about starting another or starting something, a one-off knife. But I need to actually, I need to get these going. I need to go rough grind these out and make some progress on these guys, because these are Go ahead, the kiln's up to 1500 degrees. We'll go ahead and put all these knives in now. It's going to obviously drop the temperature down to quite a bit, and it'll take some time to get back up, and we'll go from there. First batch of blades is in the kiln, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and finish profiling this blade that we did last week. This one is actually in order, and it needs a gut hook. That was part of the order. So I've done a few gut hooks and quickly learned that it's easy to make them too small, especially if you're going to be using them for any kind of big game, especially like elk. Those, bigger animals have larger or a thicker hide, and so it's really easy to, make it like 3/16 of an 1/8 down here at the radius or something like that. That's too small. I've done that before, and that would work for smaller game and birds and stuff, but it's just too small. So, you could probably make it work if you really tried, but so I've learned that you have to make them a little bigger, and obviously you got to have access into the gut hook, and so that necessitates that you take down this this section of the blade a little bit, not excessively, but enough to where you can get that that hide fed into that edge right here effectively. Now, what I'm going to do on this one is kind of a square gut hook, so that you've got a straight edge down here at the bottom of the hook. The corners of this gut hook is going to be radiused so that for strength, but having a flat or straight edge down at the bottom of that gut hook is going to make it a lot easier to keep sharp and maintain. So you can see obviously that those two holes I drilled establish the radiuses at each side. So you can see I failed to keep that cut within the navigational beacons there, and I missed my little radius hole right there. That's okay, because I marked this off as a rough size, and I intended to go a little bigger, so that's why you don't want to cut stuff to the final dimensions like that. So we'll be all right. So I have the gut hook roughed in, and it is still pretty rough. But things to watch out for, just make sure that this edge is centered in the middle. Centered in the middle, that's kind of redundant. It's in the middle of your center line of your blade. Yeah, and so obviously my idea with the drilling the holes to establish my radius at the corners, that kind of didn't work so good. I kind of made it too narrow initially, and then my saw blade crept off of that. But I probably should have used I could have used an 1/8 inch drill bit, and that probably would have worked better. And I almost did, but I didn't want to go too big, so I didn't. But at least this way I can clean it up and put a radius where it's supposed to be now, and make it work. But I'm convinced that technique could be useful. Just haven't tried that before, and it didn't quite work. The kiln's been up to 1600 degrees for several minutes now, 5 to 7 minutes, and you always want to let it sit at that temperature for at least a couple minutes. The thermocoupler that's gauging the temperature is ambient temperature. So you want to make sure that everything's up to temp, and then I like to let it soak for a couple more minutes just to make sure that everything is dissolved and ready to be evened out in the process. So we'll go ahead and pull these out, let them air cool, and then we'll be ready to do multiple thermocycles from there. Okay, so I have the gut hook really close, but what I don't have are radiuses in the corners, and we still need those. So I have to be careful here, because if I just go ahead and work at a 45 into these corners, cutting into this material and this material as well as this, so it's going to go at an angle. So that means outside of this line right here, which means I'm going to have to take all of this material down here and here in order to match up with the outside of these radiuses, and I don't want to do that. So what I can do is I can just go stay on this surface here and not take any off of that surface or this surface, and just go straight down into the blade of the gut hook. Obviously that's going to leave a high spot in the middle of my gut hook. That's not a problem. I can just file that down and then readjust the bevels as needed. Alright guys, that's it for today. Really appreciate you being here and watching. I've got that gut hook knife ready to heat treat, and we'll go from there on it. And then still working on finishing up the heat cycles on batch that I started, and get those quenched, at least some of them quenched today. So we can continue on and start another batch. But anyway, as always, appreciate you watching. See you in the next video.